Hey y'all, welcome back. This is March Reading Wrap Up Part 2. So in this video we're going to have everything that I have read from March 16th to the end of March. And today is March 30th and I have 5 books to update you on. So the first book to update you on is I read Set the Stars Alight by Amanda Dykes. This is my second Amanda Dykes novel and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it even more than Yours is the Night. Basically, Set the Stars Alight is a dual timeline, and in the present day, you have 2 young people. One is she is like a marine archaeologist, I believe, is the technical title. And then the other is a forensic astronomer. He uses the stars to solve mysteries. It's kind of cool. He's very smart. And they team up for her, she has like a big master's project to figure out what happened to this ship called the Jubilee that disappeared in the 1700s. And so they team up, they're childhood friends, and they team up to figure out what happened to that. And then the other timeline is in the 1700s, and it's basically the mystery of the Jubilee. And it has 3 main characters, which are 2 boys that are sailors, and then a girl who is their friend back on shore. So that is like kind of the plot of the book. But I just really enjoyed this book. It was really beautiful. It dealt with grief. It dealt with love and sacrifice and giving of yourself for other people. And it handled these issues so well. I really loved it. 5 stars, I think, yeah. 5 stars, definitely. It was a really beautiful book. And what I loved about it was like, so I said in the last video, because in the last video I read my first Amanda Dykes book, and I said with her language being really poetic, there was some sections that I didn't quite understand. Well, her language was still poetic in this book, but I didn't have any parts of it that I didn't understand. Like, I understood everything that happened. I understood all the dialogue and everything. But with this, though, she did the language in a way that it felt like it went with the storyline. Because, like, the storyline had a lot to do with, like, the sea and the tides and water. And her lyricism, I guess I should say, it kind of ebbed and flowed like tides. Like, her writing felt like water to me, and we were talking about the water, and it's hard to explain, but that's the vibe I got, so I really enjoyed that, and I gave it 5 stars. It was really, really good. So, I don't think I explained that well at all, but that's how I felt about the book. The next book I read was Fields of Bounty by Lauraine Snelling and Kiersti Giron. I hope I spelled that right. I hope I pronounced that right. So this is the 3rd book in the Leia's Garden series, and it came out in March. I had it pre-ordered, so I was really excited for it because I read the first 2 books in this series, and they were both really, really good. This series follows the Nielsen sisters, and in the first book, the 4 sisters set out to head out on the Oregon Trail. They're going to live on the frontier. They want to start their own farm and their own flower garden business in honor of their mother. And so the first book is pretty much their time on the trail and the struggles they go through, and then they're settling in their new home. And then the second book is like their first year in their new home, so setting up their farm and trying to start to work the land and everything. And then this book, the 3rd book, is when... they've already been there a year, so they're starting to be established, and they're really settling into their roles. I really like this series. Like, each of the books, so there are 4 sisters, and really the oldest sister and the one that's kind of like in charge of the family, her name is Lark, and she is a main character throughout all 3 books. But in all 3 books, there's a little bit of a love story for each of the other 3 sisters, so like one sister for each, and then So in a way, there's like, the series is about the whole family, but there's kind of like 2 sisters that are focused on in each book. So it's like Lark and Forsythia in the first book, and Lark and Delphinium in the second book. and Lark and Lilac in this third book. So the first 2 books were really, really good, and I was really excited for this third book, but it did not meet my expectations, unfortunately. Yeah. I did not feel that a lot was resolved in this book. I mean, I'm like 90% sure that this is the last book in the series. I thought it was going in, and after I finished it, I was like, this can't be the end. And so I went and I searched the internet. I searched both authors' websites. I searched the Bethany House page, and all of them just mentioned the 3 books. So I think it is the last book. And if it is, I find it very disappointing because I didn't feel like we got a lot of closure in this book. It felt very much like a filler to me, to be honest. Just with all the stuff that happened. There is one character that does have closure. She's not one of the sisters, but she is an important character in the series. Her storyline is complete. But like I said, she's not one of the sisters, though she is important. But yeah, it just didn't feel like an ending to me. And so I gave it 2.5 stars, but that is with the caveat that this is the last book in this series. And if they surprise me and come out with a 4th book, then I would definitely be willing to raise my review of this book. Because, like I said, it feels like a filler to me. It doesn't feel like the end of the story. So if this is the last book in the series, then I'm going to score it low because it just doesn't feel over. It just feels so... And, maybe they wanted to leave it open-ended because I guess it's more realistic that way because, life doesn't really end after the happy ending that we get in books. But still, it didn't feel ended to me. It just, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. 2.5 stars. I'm sorry. I was really disappointed because I really liked the first 2 books in the series. But hopefully, they might just be like, surprise, 4th book. And then I'll be like, oh, good. It's good then. But I doubt they'll do that. So 2.5 stars. So after I was so disappointed with Fields of Bounty, I had some books checked out from the library and I was going to read them. But then I was like, I am so disappointed with this book that I just want to read something that I know I'm going to love. So instead of reading the books that I checked out from the library, I went back to some of my old favorites. I went back and I reread the books. So I reread The Land of the Lone Star series by Tracie Peterson. It's 3 books and they are definitely old favorites of mine. So yeah, I wanted to feel happy and to read a book that I knew I would love. So I read those. So, the Land of the Lone Star books are 3 books by Tracie Peterson, and the first one takes place in 1863 on a ranch outside of Dallas, Texas. And I don't want to give too much of the plots away because the books are all connected. So I'll just say the first one takes place on a ranch outside of Texas, and it's during the war, so it deals with a lot of because Texas during the war was very varied, a lot of people supported the North, and a lot of people supported the South, and a lot of people were just like, we're Texas, let's leave out of it. So it kind of deals with a lot of conflict between neighbors and stuff as they disagree, and it deals with a lot of that. Also some issues with Indians because Texas was dealing with attacks from the Comanche and the Kiowa in the 1860s as well. So that is a big part of the novel. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. And then the second book in the series takes place in 1865 in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is down, if you don't know, it's a coastal town on the south. It's right on the Gulf of Mexico. And that book takes place in 1865. It's right after the war ends. So Corpus Christi is occupied by Union soldiers. And so there are a lot of the troops that occupied Corpus Christi were primarily black soldiers. And so Buffalo soldiers, they were called. And so there are a lot of race relation issues at that time because the South was very bitter about losing, but the Buffalo Soldiers were occupying the town, and that made them very upset. So the book kind of deals a lot with that. Also, the second book deals with... Oh, I should probably name them. The first book is called Chasing the Sun, and the second book is called Touching the Sky. Touching the Sky, I will give a trigger warning. It deals with domestic abuse, and it can be quite intense in some moments, so if that's something that bothers you, you may not want to read it. And then the third book in the series takes place back in the ranch area outside of Dallas. It's called Taming the Wind, and it has all of the characters from the previous two books in it. So it's kind of like a conclusion to all of their stories. And again, I can't really give you the plot of it without spoiling what happens in the first two books, so I'm just not going to tell you about the characters or anything like that. I will just assure you that all three books are really, really good. I love them a lot, and it was really nice to reread them, especially after being so disappointed by Fields of Bounty. So that is the Land of the Lone Star series. They are all 4.5 stars. Read for me. Old favorites. Definitely recommend. And that it would be all 5 books that I've read in the latter half of March. So I will leave it here, and let me know what you guys read in March, or if you've read any of the books in this video and if you like them, or if you're interested in them, or if you just have anything to say, let me know. And I'll see you guys next time.